went into a brand new trip. Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Some of the biggest songs in recorded music history started as jokes, a nonsense lyric, a goofy dance move, a melody that nobody took seriously for even 10 seconds. And then the world went absolutely wild for them. Here are 10 times goofy songs became global hits. If music history and the stories behind the songs you grew up with interest you, consider subscribing so you never miss a video like this. Number 10. Gangnam Style. By the summer of 2012, a stocky South Korean rapper in a tuxedo was doing a horse riding dance in a parking garage, and the entire planet lost its mind. PSY, whose full name is Park Jae-sang, released Gangnam Style as a satirical jab at the wealthy Gangnam district of Seoul, mocking its flashy, status-obsessed culture. Nobody outside South Korea was expected to care. The song's lyrics were almost entirely in Korean. The video was deliberately absurd, featuring PSY dancing in a sauna, a children's playground in May, and a tour bus. None of that slowed it down. Gangnam Style became the first YouTube video in history to reach 1 billion views, then 2 billion. It sat at the top of the charts in over 30 countries and earned PSY a performance at the American Music Awards alongside MC Hammer. A parody of Privilege became the most watched video the internet had ever seen.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Number 9. Macarena.
And if you could, I'd take you home with me.
Two middle-aged men from Seville, Spain, named Antonio Romero and Rafael Ruiz, recorded a song in 1993 that their own label initially buried. 3 years later, a remixed version with a faster beat reached American radio, and nothing was ever the same at a school gymnasium, a wedding reception, or a summer barbecue. Los Del Rio's Macarena spent an astonishing 60 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 1. It became the unofficial soundtrack of the 1996 presidential campaign season, with political conventions full of delegates doing the arm wave routine on national television. The accompanying line dance spread to shopping malls, cruise ships, and stadium scoreboards across the globe. The men who wrote it were in their 50s when it hit. They had been playing regional Spanish festivals for decades. Macarena made them international household names almost entirely by accident. Number 8. Barbie Girl. The Danish-Norwegian pop group Aqua almost certainly did not expect to trigger an international lawsuit when they released Barbie Girl in 1997. The song, a bubbly, hyper-saturated piece of bubblegum synth-pop delivered in exaggerated baby voices, was a satirical take on gender roles and consumer culture. Mattel, the toy company behind the Barbie doll, did not see it that way. They sued MCA Records for trademark infringement, calling the song damaging and degrading. The case dragged through courts for years before a federal judge dismissed it, famously describing the dispute as a pissing contest in his written opinion. Meanwhile, Barbie Girl hit number 1 in over 15 countries and sold millions of copies worldwide. Aqua, a group built on bright colors and theatrical silliness, had accidentally produced one of the defining pop songs of the 90s, lawsuits and all. Number 7. Kung Fu Fighting.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Carl Douglas wrote almost nothing at all. The session in London in 1974 was booked to record a serious B-side for a different single. The producer, Bidu, had around 10 minutes of studio time left at the end of the session. Douglas threw together a song about martial arts. Everybody in the room did it mostly for fun, and they moved on. Producer Bidu flipped it to the A-side on instinct. Kung Fu Fighting hit number 1 in both the United Kingdom and the United States, sold an estimated 10 million copies worldwide, and became the defining novelty record of the kung fu film craze sweeping Western pop culture at the time. Douglas never matched it commercially. He barely needed to. A song assembled in 10 minutes for no particular reason became one of the best-selling singles of the entire 1970s.
Those kids were fast as lightning.
Number 6. Who Let the Dogs Out?
Let the dogs out!
The Baha Men did not write Who Let the Dogs Out. The song was composed by Anselm Douglas and had bounced around the Caribbean music circuit for years before a producer brought it to the Bahamian group in 2000. They recorded it, it landed on the soundtrack to the film Rugrats in Paris, and suddenly it was everywhere. Sports stadiums adopted it as a crowd chant almost immediately. It played at every arena in America. Morning radio could not stop repeating it. The question the song posed, which was never actually answered, somehow made it stickier. Who Let the Dogs Out won a Grammy Award for Best Dance Recording in 2001. A song widely mocked as the most annoying hit of its era took home music's most prestigious award. The Baha Men accepted graciously. Before we keep going, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. It's always great to see how far this channel reaches. Number 5. Witch Doctor. In 1958, a novelty songwriter and producer named Ross Bagdasarian, recording under the name David Seville, was looking for a quick follow-up to an earlier minor hit. He slowed a tape recorder down while singing, knowing that playing it back at normal speed would make his voice sound impossibly high and chipmunk-like. He added a string of complete nonsense syllables, including the now legendary sequence ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla walla bing bang, and released Witch Doctor. It spent 3 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the spring of 1958. The technique Bagdasarian developed in that session led directly to the creation of Alvin and the Chipmunks later that same year, which became one of the most enduring children's music franchises in American history. One ridiculous recording trick launched an entire entertainment empire. Number 4. Purple People Eater.
Looks like a purple people eater to me.
6 weeks. That is how long Purple People Eater by Sheb Wooley sat at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 in the summer of 1958. Wooley was primarily a country singer and working actor, having appeared in the Western film High Noon alongside Gary Cooper just 6 years earlier. The song, about a one-eyed, one-horned flying creature who wanted to join a rock and roll band, was inspired by a joke Wooley heard from a child. He wrote the whole thing in a single afternoon. It became the best-selling record in the country for a month and a half, outselling everything Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Buddy Holly released that summer. Wooley never topped it. Nobody expected him to. The Purple People Eater had arrived, eaten the charts, and that was that.
Thing coming out of the sky. It had a one long horn and one big eye.
Number 3. My Ding-a-Ling.
Catch me playing with my ding-a-ling-a-ling, oh, my ding-a-ling.
Chuck Berry was one of the most important figures in the history of rock and roll. He wrote Johnny B. Good, he wrote Roll Over Beethoven, he wrote Maybelline. His catalog reads like the founding document of popular music, and his only #1 single on the American charts was a double entendre bathroom joke he had been performing live for over a decade before finally recording it properly. My Ding-a-Ling, recorded at a live show in England in 1972, hit the top of the charts on both sides of the Atlantic. Berry himself reportedly found the whole situation amusing and slightly baffling. Serious music critics were appalled that his legacy-defining chart topper would be a gag song rather than any of his monumental rock and roll compositions. The public disagreed, loudly and enthusiastically, and bought it by the millions.
Silver bells hanging on a string. She told me it was my ding-a-ling.
Number 2. What Does the Fox Say?
What the fox say?
Norwegian comedy duo Ylvis created. What Does the Fox Say in 2013 specifically as a throwaway joke to promote their television talk show. The plan was to release something so deliberately absurd that it would generate a brief burst of attention and then disappear. The song asked, with complete seriousness and a thundering electronic production, what sound a fox makes. The chorus answered with a series of invented animal noises. Ring ding 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 ding-a-ring ding and wah-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa-pow. The music video racked up tens of millions of YouTube views within days of release. It peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, reached the top 5 in multiple European countries, and became one of the most viewed videos of the year. The television show it was meant to promote received considerably less attention than The Fox.
What does the fox say?
Number 1. Monster Mash.
Working in the lab late one night, when my eyes beheld an eerie sight.
Bobby Pickett was a struggling actor with a talent for doing a Boris Karloff impression. In the summer of 1962, he worked that impression into a novelty song about a graveyard dance party and recorded it quickly and cheaply with producer Gary Paxton. Monster Mash hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in October of 1962, right before Halloween. It was banned by the BBC in Britain for being too morbid. It charted again in 1970 and again in 1973 and has been a Halloween staple for more than 6 decades without interruption. No song on this list has shown more durability. It was never meant to outlast the season it was written for. More than 60 years later, every October, without fail, the Monster Mash is still doing the Monster Mash.
Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash.